I want to suggest for you today that a lot of your struggle has come from a foreign place. But I think it is from a preparational place that you may be apprehensive of. But I want you to focus in just for a minute. Yesterday, um, at Publix in Antioch, I was robbed. Um, thank God for my life. Um, I was displaced a few $100s. Um, was able to get away. Um, but I'm driving back to the hotel, and I call, and I'm trying to explain my current location and trying to make sure that police are at the destination. But they're behind me, headed to the destination. Hear me now. I know that the job of the enemy is to oppose everybody who is on their job for God. And anytime that you find yourself working for the Lord, you can expect attack to come. You can expect to be under the attack. You can expect to be under the hardship. You can expect to have your heart broken. You can expect to be left. You can expect a number of things to happen. I think when you are purposed, when you are on assignment, when you are fulfilling the calling, whatever it may be, right? You can expect it to happen. But I realize here in the story of Job, not that we're one to be compared with somebody that God found faultless and blameless, but I want to suggest to you that you, like Job, have a job of being God's servant. It don't really matter what you do. It don't matter where you've come from. It don't even matter what you look like, what your skin color is. It don't matter what you've done in your past. I'm here to tell somebody today that the job of the enemy is to oppose you because you are God's servant. It don't matter if you knew it or not. It don't matter if folk want to believe it or not. It don't matter if they support you or not. It don't matter if you got anybody cheering for you or not. Let me tell you on today that your job, according to the enemy's attack plan, is God's servant. Okay. I know that because of all the hell that you went through. I know that because of all the fights that you faced and then fought out of. I know that because people look at you and don't really see the calling on you, but they can't dispute that the light of glory still shines on you. That's how I know that you are a servant of, because the enemy opposes you. On my way to the hotel, God spoke to me and said, "Why would you take danger into a safe space?" Like, well, what do I do? He says, "I need you to keep going." Okay. And so we ended up here. Uber brought them here. Um, but in that, I got this. In that, I got this, that the enemy had to ask permission. The enemy had to ask permission from God. Is it okay for me to attack? And I'm not sure what you're looking at today. I'm not sure where, what, how it's been on you this past week. But can I tell you on today that the enemy had to ask permission before he ever confronted you? Because the God who appointed you regulates everything before you to work out for the good of his servant. So he told me, keep driving, keep going. And I've come to tell somebody on today that regardless of what you face, you got to keep going. This is not status nor stance for you to stand still, but this is for you to re-equip in your mind that you're certified to be everything that God ordained for you to be, and not to give up, not to give out, not to throw in the towel, nor fall out, but you got to become even more determined that I know I'm facing it because God saw me faithful enough to fight it. I thought I was weak, but apparently God thinks that I'm stronger than what I could ever imagine that I am. That's why I fight what I fight. That's why I face the storms that I do. That's why you're under that's why folk doubt that. That's why you looked at that. That's why you've been going through what you've been through, but came out of because God found you. And I know here that the devil asks a question, but he only was able to ask after God inquired of him, where have you been? I know they're asking about you, but if they're asking about you, then I know that the conversation started when God started talking about you. And the reason that you are going through the reason that you see what you see is because God started a conversation about you. And I know there's many people talking about him, but if God is talking about you, that puts you in a different category. See, when you have an intimate relationship with him, when you experience him and not just talk about him, then you'll find yourself in conversations that God started about you, that you don't even know anything about, but you'll just see yourself in the middle of it. What am I talking about on today? When God just looks up and does stuff for you that you ain't even asked for. God, I ain't even asked to be here, but ended up here in the end. I didn't, when the year started, didn't even know we would come to this place. But let me tell you on today, when you work for him, then conversations happen to meet you in rooms that you didn't even know you were a part of. It's because you're brought up at tables, you're brought up in conversations, you're brought up in meetings that man want to exclude you from. God brings up your name so you will know that you are one with the Son, not to be equal with, but one to be equated to, that God brings up you to. He says to have you considered him. Have you considered that that's my servant? That before they can hurt you, they have to consider that you are God's. Before they can do any damage to you, let them consider that you are God's. Before it is that you ever fall down or become defeated in your mind, in your idea, in your thinking, one thing you should consider is that you're his servant. So I'm doing backtracking. Before the enemy's question, before God's confirmation, there was a question to the enemy: where have you been? Today I'm thankful for his protection. I'm thankful for his protection because yesterday should have gone differently. I think so many times we get comfortable in the person that we are, that we forget the people that may be around us, where you can't treat everybody equal to you because everybody don't think like you. That there's not a second in my mind throughout the day that I go think about taking from somebody. I don't come to a place of being like, let me take from them. I don't come to a place of let me hurt somebody so that I can gain from it. And you subscribe and think that, like, most people are just good people, giving them the benefit of the doubt. especially me with black folk. Just it just hits me differently because you want to give them the benefit of the doubt. You absolutely do. You want to be like, no, they ain't all bad. And I'm not even saying that all of us are bad people. I'm saying that there's some people that you got to be aware really do work for the enemy, whether they know it or not. That you can have a job description, an appointment over your life just to oppose a servant and don't even know that that's what your job is. But I'm thankful today that God asked the enemy, where have you been? Because somewhere I may have forgotten to pray that morning. But God is inquiring of the enemy, where have you been? And I think for today is going to be before I went to Publix, there was no prayer of consultation. There was no like, God, protect me on the way. I mean, come on, we're real people. Get up and just go. How how many times we go to Walmart, to Target? How many times we go to any store and don't nothing happen? I mean, we're talking Publix, not Walmart and you know what I mean? Like you go to I'm just being real about it. You go to certain places because you don't expect to face certain things. I mean, you look at the scenery and the setting and believe that no, I won't. Of all things, ain't gonna get robbed going to the ATM. I won't be robbed just sitting in the parking lot. Ain't nobody gonna try and take from you. This is Publix, and the enemy had to release the itinerary. God, this is where I've been. And you may be asking, why is that important? Why are we staying there? Why are we talking about that? Because somewhere that morning I didn't pray before I went to Publix. And God is no God of infringement, but a God of love. So he's not going to force it on me that I deliver to him to protect me. So what does he do? He filters around the enemy. Where have you been? That's what he said. He asked him, where have you been? Because somewhere Jeremiah forgot to consult me and went on along on the way praying without me. But when I arrived there, he said to the enemy, where have you been? So I can make sure Jeremiah is protected. So on today, know that you are protected. Know that you are protected. That in spite of you, God didn't forget about you, regardless of if you knew it or not. That God was still working in the background, not infringing on you, but still making sure that the hedge fence of protection was around you. That every place that you went and didn't seek him, that he sought out everybody who would seek to hurt you and inquires of them, where have you been? Because I know him to be omnipresent. I know him to be omnipotent. So he's everywhere, but everywhere he goes, he's powerful. So at Publix yesterday, he's shielding and protecting. At Texaco years ago, he's shielding and protecting. In jail for those months, he's shielding and protecting. While we drive up and down the road, he's shielding and protecting. While we're careless and don't pray and don't thank him at the end of the day, he's shielding and protecting. And stop thinking that a building is your protection. Because at the end of the day, like this looks pretty in the background. But if you don't have God at the forefront, then it makes no difference. So he's asking, where have you been? Because I've got to protect them. And the enemy says, I've been going back and forth, to and fro, up and down in it. God says, you didn't consider that was my servant. So I need you to know on today that the reason that you can come here and look at me on this morning, the reason that you can wake up in your right mind, The reason that you didn't die last night, the reason that the last attack didn't take you all the way out, the reason that they fought you but couldn't kill you, the reason all of that stuff happened and you're still able to live through it is because you were his servant. That God stopped it. God was the interception, the intermission. God works as the shield protecting you that you didn't even pray for. Just have you considered? It's my servant. Maybe you should look at you differently on the day. And God hasn't forgotten about me. And that's it. I'm done for this morning. I just wanted to tell somebody God hasn't forgotten about you. No matter what's in your mind that you convince you, what the enemy whispers to you, what folk around you want to tell you or doubt you, or whatever it is, God has not forgotten about you. And I know that because he's a keeper. That's what the old folks said. They say he's a keeper. Not of just people that want to be kept, but of them don't even know God is keeping them. So I'm thankful today that he's a keeper. I'm thankful today that in spite of me, God still protects me. I'm thankful today that he loves me. And I'm thankful today that he reminds the enemy to still be in check. To know that everything that comes to attack you is subject to checking in with God first before the plan prevails against you. It may come at you, but understand on today, the only way that it's going to actually get to you is if God ordained it to get to you. Where are you that you did not identify that everything God had ordained for you had to come in lining with you, but it came many times at the expense of those who looked at you but hated you? And you just doing you. You just trying to be you. Ain't nobody trying to throw no shade around. You just being you. You just trying to live. You just trying to do what you do. And there's people next to you that don't even like you. There's folk that sit with you, want to use you, and not even really there for the good of you. But I know even in your ignorancy that God asked the enemy, where have you been? Because I know that you sit on the other side of the table, but see, they don't see you being next to them, being in them, being the friend that comes to knock on the door for them. You didn't see the enemy on today, and he says, where have you been? Because I need to expose them to you. I need you to be able to see who the enemies are on today. Where have you been? And he says, I've been back and forth, to and fro. Where have you been? It says back and forth. What idea of thinking wages in your mind where you go back and forth between whether you should or whether you shouldn't? And I'm here to tell you on today, that kind of thinking is where the enemy lives. You don't believe it? Job 1:7, back and forth, to and fro. You mean to tell me while we're like in relationship, out of relationship, when we're making up, breaking up, that the reason that there's so much confusion in it, because that's where the enemy lives? Prove it. Job 1:7, back and forth, up and down. Doc, you mean to tell me my emotions are the way that they are, that depression ain't something that just comes with the weather, that I can be sad and happy and mad and up and down, and that's the attack of the enemy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Prove it, preacher. Up, down, back and forth, to and fro. But I gotta tell you on today, every place that you go, every place that you go, you gotta know that God is steps ahead of you, making sure that the enemy may be behind you, but cannot touch you. You gotta know that everything he speaks to you, a lot of that stuff won't even touch you. It can't catch you. It'll come and be against you. It may even hurt your feelings, but it can't kill you. I know that because you're a servant and he follows you, not the enemy. God follows you. Ask the enemy, where you think you going? You thought you could get close to my mans and hurt and kill them. No, no, I'm not while I'm behind them. You gotta know that the enemy says, but don't you got a hedge fence around that caramel skinned Negro? He said, yeah, 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 I got a hedge fence around them. But if I move it, you can only hurt him, but you can't kill him. You got to know stuff may come to hurt you, but my God, it won't kill you. It may come to oppose you, but it won't defeat you. It may even cause you to break down in tears, but you got to know that that stuff won't drown you. You got to be able to get up from here and realize in testimony over yourself, I'm still a servant. I'm still called. I still got the glory over me. I'm still. We may have taken a little loss, but we gonna bounce back from that. And I know that God is faithful to do exceedingly and abundantly. How do I know that? Because God restored. I know God restored. He restored before Job even saw it, because it's in the making that he would stop the enemy. And that's all I need him to do on today is stop the attack. I don't need him to give me 10 times, but I just need to stop the attack. And God knows that the path that you're on, that the attack can only go but for so long. That's why he's asking the enemy, where do you think that you're going, that you can attack them for 10, 12 years? Where do you think that you're going, that your promise against them would be greater than my promise for them? Where do you think that you're going, that you will move them to a place of doubting me eternally? But you got to understand that that's my servant, so they'll always find their way back to me. That's why you can leave church and still find God. That's why you don't have to sing with the choir and still be able to praise him, because God ordained inside of you that you be a servant to always find him. And folk can say what they want to say about you, but believe this on today, that you are a servant of God and God has not forgotten about you. That's why the enemy's running behind you but can't touch you. You may attack and you may fight back, and you may be able to come and stand against, but let me tell you on today, everything that's ordained inside of me is to defeat every enemy that comes to oppose me, not in my own strength, but the strength who fights behind me. That God is behind me, protecting me, leading me and guiding me along on the way. And he asked the enemy on yesterday, where have you been? So when I've come to today, he's able to tell me, Jeremiah, you can keep on going forth. I've got everything protected behind you, that it won't hurt you. It may drive behind you, but it can't catch you, because I've been protecting you. That's all I came to share on today. That the protection is on you. It's on you. It's on you. It's on you. It may not seem like it, but that's God's protection. That it don't seem like it. That the reason that you can come and doubt him is because he's been behind you. And you want God to be in front of you. No, God needs to be behind you, asking the enemy, putting them in check. Where you think that you going? That's it. That's it. That's all I came to share on the day. I just need you to know that the enemy must be confused, must got his roadmap out of whack, must be headed in the wrong direction. I know he on the wrong track. If he keep on this path, you got to know on the day God in every single way will check him and be like, listen, where you think you going? That is my servant. That's it. That's all I got on the day. God bless you.